G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival, and today it's time to make some real progress on getting the hangar welded up. And did I just see the goose? Yep, the goose is parked in a ditch. Awesome. Hopefully, since it's the trailer, we'll be able to get out of that nice and easily. Now, there are a few things I want to talk about quickly about the Buttercup and our new ship, Igor. Well, vehicle, it's not really a ship. And it's going to be Igor. Let's go into info and name this properly. My little friend, you are Igor the Ugly Armadillo. Largely I chose Armadillo because I felt it rolled off my Australian accented tongue more easily than Ugly Tortoise or Ugly Turtle or Ugly Camel, all of which I also liked and were tempting me to cover this with armor, which I still might, but probably not. Now, the Buttercup. There is something I need to do that is going to take a bit longer on the Buttercup, and that is improve the handling of it. We sadly can't do anything about the crazy problems we were having with the rotors spinning ridiculously quickly whenever I connect to the connector. But what we can do is improve the handling the rest of the time. And 1WSX10, who is the author of the vector thrust script, who is yet another script author who I am very, very lucky to have giving me tips about their scripts, has suggested that maybe all those sparks that I was seeing, which don't do any damage, they genuinely don't do any damage because subgrids can't damage each other, maybe, even though they weren't causing actual damage to the blocks, they might have been stopping the rotor from turning the way that I needed it to. And that might have been enough to mess with my handling so that things just didn't work out very nicely for me. And the suggestion I was given was move the armor blocks out of the way so that they're not causing that grinding. Now, I don't really notice any handling problems when I'm using the tick, and the tick has the same issue. But I suspect that has a bit to do with the fact that the tick actually has a very, very low thrust to weight ratio. So any weirdness in controls, I'm more likely to put down to other things. Whereas with this, any weirdness in the controls is going to be very obvious because it has a lot of powerful thrust. So what we're going to do is what I've already started, which is replacing each of these armor blocks with a half height variant of it so that we've got nice, clear movement of the thrusters. And I have to be very careful with my grinder around this, as if I grind the wrong block here, I'm going to destroy at least the batteries and probably a lot more. So I'm probably making everybody very nervous while I do this, but you know, that happens. It's fun. It'll be okay. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure I won't drop this onto the ground and make it blow up. Let's really hope I don't do that. I will feel like an idiot if I do now. Alright. So we've got one more block holding onto the rear rotor now, so I can grind off these bits. Now, I'm not sure what to do with this back piece. I could do something like this. No, not that. Like that. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. The reason I wasn't sure what to do with it is if we look at the rest of our build here, if I used the half blocks, the slabs like this, and then put a half slab in here in place of this 2x1x1 slope, it'll be the only bit that stops higher. I mean, I could drop these to be just half slab corners and do that the whole way around, which is another option. But we'll see how this looks first. I think I like having it going down to half the length of the batteries. And yeah, I guess that looks okay for now. The other thing with the Buttercup that I think is relevant to talk about is why I'm having this problem with the rotor, where I have to be very careful about what's attaching to it because it's only actually held on by these armor blocks. And I chose to do it this way because I wanted the curved conveyor tube to be there. I didn't want to use a conveyor junction purely for aesthetic reasons. There was no other. I just didn't want to see the edges of the conveyor system. I like to cover them up when I can. As you can see with this build, I actually don't have any visible anywhere. I just find that my builds feel more complete when I cover them all up. Seeing these sorts of things on the outside just doesn't really work for me unless I'm going for a particular look where I want that very industrial feel, but I wanted this to feel a little bit more robust, and seeing stuff like that just feels less robust. Another thing that was brought up to me, which I should talk about, is the vector thrust nacelles not being at the center of mass when you look at this from the side. These are pretty much as far forward as I can get them. I could move them one block further forward. That would be all. Or if I kind of put them like lobster claws out on the side, I suppose I could bring them even further. But that would make this quite broad, and I didn't want to bring them one block further forward because then they'll won't work with my armor design. And while that might help controls, I didn't actually test it. The change that I'm doing now helps the controls enough that I'm happy with flying the Buttercup around the way that it's about to end. Oopsie. I'm glad that was the... I'm so glad that was the thruster, not anything that was attaching the thruster. Oh man, I gotta really be more careful. Da, 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 da. I probably just gave a few people a heart attack. If you haven't noticed yet, there are some things I do in this series that are not the most sensible way of doing things, and certainly often not the most efficient. I have probably spent more time on these welding ships than it would have taken me to weld the floor that is currently there. And that would be an issue, except for the fact that there's going to be a whole lot more floor than is actually here already. And I'm here to have fun with building stuff, and I'm actually enjoying, or at least I was enjoying designing the Buttercup. I kind of gave up on Igor, but that worked out alright. So, to me, whether this has saved time isn't necessarily important. And this is something I wanted to bring up about Space Engineers, and something that was actually in a recent Reddit post by Spets, which is sometimes in Space Engineers, the things that are fun to do are the things that are the most inefficient, ridiculous ideas. And his example was his awesome mechs, and mine was my somewhat cutesy Buttercup and incredibly ugly Igor, as well as the Goose, which, you know, only has purpose because I've chosen not to use uranium. If I'd had uranium, I wouldn't need it. But that's the fun. You make your own limits, you make your own purposes in this, so that you have your own fun. Saying that, I would still really, really like to have something I could throw my military devices against, so that I've got a bit more pressure to force me to engineer in a particular way, which could be fun as well. And that's where Meridius 9 comes in. One of the other things that was pointed out to me in the comments, which I really like, and I think a couple of people came up to me independently to point this one out, which is I could use these pistons to connect to the base so that I don't need a ramp to get onto the connector. And I think I'll need a little extra height than they will give me in their current layout. So let's add a couple of steel blocks to them. Like that. Now, let's grind off our little ramp and see if this does in fact work. Let's hop in, grab our pistons, Pistons. Igor's pistons. And groups. Reverse. Now, the other thing I would like to do to Igor is grab our wheels and put their steering angles up to crazy levels so that I can drive almost on a point. Now, let's... Uh-oh. I need to be careful of that. I almost fell over. Huh. I think that might be too far. What? Wait, what's happening? It's like one of the wheels is getting stuck when I do that. Oh, I see what's happening. It's because of what I just did to the pistons. Maybe if we drop it to, say, 35? It's not as bad. Still happens, though. Let's try something else. That is going to be a problem. I do want this to be able to turn tightly, so what if we do this and have it that way? Because I only need the edge to sit down because there's going to be 4 of these. And hopefully that'll be enough of a change to the collision box that the wheels can turn tightly without scrubbing up against these and stopping their movement. Now we've got those slopes. When we turn, yes, all the wheels can roll at this level of turning. Good. So let's check out and see if these pistons are going to lift us high enough to connect up to the base and extend. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It's perfect. And we lock. Ah, yes. Igor is perfect. Alright. So, we've got to fix up a couple of things on the floor first, which is, first off, we need to fill this hole. I'm going to need to grab a few components so that I can actually do this. Some of those. Let's get rid of these. I don't need them. Need to grab some of those. Some of those. That'll probably cover me for a little bit. So we need the catwalk open to fill in this hole. Let's grab the correct color because I've still got the colors from the butter cup. And is that the right way? No, that's the right way. And then I think somewhere in this floor we've got some armor blocks that should not be there. Like this one. That one's fine. Oops. That was fine. Alright, now we've got our welder hooked up. Let's load Igor up with goodies. In fact, why don't we name Igor's cargo containers? Igor's. That way I can find it easily and fill them up quickly. What about the welders? And there we go. Now, oops, wrong button. Now we can just do this. Igor! And I can fill it up with everything I need. In fact, I've got a fair bit on there already, but couldn't hurt to have a few more of those. Let's start welding. So, disconnect. Uh-oh. Uh-oh! Rats. Oh, I should have dropped the pistons off first. I wonder if we can fix this easily. One there. And one there. This might feel reminiscent of some solutions you guys might have seen on Space Engineers in the past. Oh, why did I break things? Ah, here I was, all ready to go with a time lapse, and I go and do this. Good job. Great job. Alright. Piston 5 and 6. Reverse. Oh, here we go. Alright, how far did that get us? Yeah, not bad. It's actually not bad at all. Let's see if we can get the last little bit that we need. So it really isn't much further we need to come up. Can't believe it. I really did have everything set up, ready to go for the time lapse. And now I have to reset it all. Because I stupidly let Igor fall over. Yeah! Turning off the suspension fixed it. Alright. Let's get rid of those. And let's get everything set up for the time lapse. So then we can get going. Oh, where's the end? There it is. Okay, now that I have righted Igor again, let's get going on the welding. And it's time for a little welding montage, I think. And let's have a look. We have floors all the way down to here. Haven't done the last segment yet. I was starting to run low on components. Let's pop some lights in on this row here, much like we've got in the row in front, so that we don't need our headlights all the time. And it's interior light. Probably best not done in yellow. Oh, we've missed a spot. Wonder if I've got the stuff on me. There's probably going to be a few little bits like that that I will discover as I go along that I've missed. Hopefully not too many. And hopefully I don't miss them for so long that they drive a few people insane. We'll get these lights built. Then we should check the state of our refineries, as I had planned next to move on to building a parking spot for the tick in this space here. So we'll see if we've got the resources to be able to do that. Alright, headlights off, and we have a decent amount of light. Although how much of it is actually coming from the goose? it's not too bad without it. How does it go in the darker bit? I think this is fine. There's good ambient light in the hangar with just those lights up there on the beams in between. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I think that'll work nicely for the time being. We'll have to do some more moody lighting toward the end to make this have a real feel to it. But in terms of making it functional for the time being, I think this is good. Let's have a look and see how much iron we've got left being refined. Let's go to our system refine. Oh. Okay. We're not getting any more production, are we? Oh! I think I might have run out of iron. I think I still have quite a few steel plates left, though. Yeah, we've still got some in the Buttercup and in Igor. Actually, I think those are both Buttercup. Still got some in Buttercup, still got a few interior plates and construction components. Probably would be enough to build this section out now. You know what? I've got two choices. I could dig this out now with nothing being produced, nothing being refined, or we could plan and go do another trip with the goose, get another full load of iron so that while we're building this out, we've actually got stuff going on. My other thing I need to look at is how much battery power do we actually have left? Oh, we've actually got a fair bit. Alright, I think we'll be good. So what we're going to do, because I don't want to spend ages digging this out with nothing being refined and then not having enough materials to continue on with the rest of the plants, I think we're best off taking the goose down now and doing another big load of ore. So, it's nighttime. I'm driving the goose at night. This is probably unwise. This is almost certainly unwise. But I think we've got to do it. Oh, that is not a convenient time to get thrown into first-person camera. Now, what I might try and do with reversing this out is actually reverse the whole way out. Just got to stop putting it in that ditch on my way out. So if we go to there, then now if we go to start turning, where's the tick? It's somewhere back there, isn't it? Let's get some surrounding light. Now this is a trouble with the turning circle on the goose, is I can't quite easily remember at what point I avoid jackknifing with how tight I turn. Okay, back up the hill. Actually got out of there relatively easily. Oh, no, this is not good. Spoke too soon. Spoke much too soon. Alright. How... Oh, I can't remember which way to go around this big thing. I think we go around wide. So if I start... Yeah, I think I gotta reverse further up the hill. I know I'm probably making a lot of people panic right now that I'm gonna crash and destroy the goose. I'm gonna make every effort not to, but we do need to get these resources. And waiting till daytime seems like a big waste of time. Okay. Wait, everything is out of here, isn't it? I don't have any iron or anything left on board. I do have a bit. I don't really want to drive all the way back inside just to get that iron back. Oh, this will take a few trips. Let's do it. By hand. Alrighty, the iron is now cleared out. Let's hop back in. Way home markers there. So let's start driving down. I'm going to take this exceptionally slowly since I'm driving at night. I really don't want to accidentally do any tree felling with my face. So let's speed this up, and that will only be in post. I am not doing that in the real game. I'm sticking with going very slow as planned. Looks like there's a nice level spot here, so I'm going to park up here this time, and hopefully that will prevent the tipping that I had last time, since I haven't done anything about ensuring that the load gets evenly distributed yet. Maybe if I jackknife this a little bit as well, that'll make it a bit more stable. Oh, I could turn on the rotors too, couldn't I? If I turn them on, they'll lock, and it should prevent some of the roll too. Excellent. Let's see how well this works. Alright, time for some mining. Last time I was hoping to get a bit of a time lapse done with the mining, so I'm going to try and see if we can do that this time. Last time it did not go well. It looked like the goose was basically a fish out of water and flopping all over the place, so I decided not to use that footage. Fingers crossed, it works this time. This will be the last load since there is not much battery power left in this thing. So all of the large cargo containers are now full of iron. We've even still got some extra iron in the butterball, which could make getting up the hill quite interesting. Hopefully not disastrous. I'm also pleased that the sun rose as we were doing that time lapse, because I love a good change from well, I love a good sunrise or sunset with the time lapse. Okay, so we've got... Oi. Come on, you can do it. We need to head back home. Let's see if I can safely get the goose home for another trip without the ramp in place. Still surprisingly got what seems like a decent amount of iron ore left in this deposit. I was expecting I'd only get maybe one, really maybe just this extra trip out of the iron deposit before I'd have to go find another one. And we've got our full brakes on, because that was a lot steeper than I anticipated initially. Let's get on home. Okay, let's get ourselves ready for the hill. So number 3, max override all the way up. Turn you on. Turn booster thrusters on. Unpark and let's roll. Let's see how she does. Getting up a bit of speed. Hopefully this will be enough to have a nice clean run all the way up the steep part. 22, 23. It's probably the maximum speed I'd be comfortable going at. Let's turn in. Still going. Still going. Yes. Alright. don't think we need these on anymore. Let's turn it off. Take its thrust override off. Keep the booster thrusters going. We should be able to get up the next bit with just them. Hopefully. If we take this a bit wider, we can probably take this hill a bit straighter on. Yes. Yes. Booster thrusters off. And cruising in onto the bridge. The goose is a success again. Awesome. We're going to have to move the buttercup out of the way because I think it's still attached to our connector. Yes, it is. And then we'll be able to get all of this iron starting to be processed. Locked. Resources delivered. Now, what I was wondering is, has the butterball now started charging? Because its batteries were getting a little bit low. No, it hasn't. Alright, I am going to disconnect the butterball. Wait, do I have a spot for it? I don't. Wonder if I can fit it on that one. Okay, my little friend. Let's get out of the way. Ugly duckling, you are going to move so that I can recharge the butterball. Recharge off. Unpark. Let's not drive straight into the wall. You can park down here too. These will all go proper parking spots in time. They just don't have them yet.
Health low.
Oh! Ow! I'm gonna go fix that. Ow, that really hurt. I can't believe how close I came to dying then. Oh. Wow. Note to self, don't run into the ceiling. It hurts. Alright. Let's go get some health back from our med bay that's upside down in here. Alright. Now we should be charging. Yes, we are. Excellent. I was down to the last 3 or 4 minutes of charge with the butterball on that mining trip, and it made me slightly anxious. So hopefully next time that won't be an issue. That's going to be plenty more iron for a little bit more of this hangar construction, as the last bit of iron that the Goose built both of these doors, and I think they used up a lot more than most of this other stuff has. Let's fix this color mismatch. What the? Oh no! You're not supposed to be there. You're not supposed to be there. Oops. Okay. Placed the wrong blocks down. I must have missed those when I was fixing up the ones that have been incorrectly placed. Well, I think the hangar is starting to take a bit of shape now. We've got a bit of the feel going. Once we get that hole dug out for the tick, which will be next time, the time lapses have been quite time consuming, as you might expect. So I'm actually going to save what I had planned for this episode, which was building the tick's parking spot, for next time. Hopefully that's not too much of a disappointment, but it'll give me a bit more time to think about exactly how I'm going to do it. And while we're in there, we'll also start our conveyor system under the floor and start building those service access ways properly, so that we're not just walking straight down into rock, as we are here. So there's that, and plenty more to come. So I'll see you then.